Hi, my name is Alison O'Reilly. I'm a journalist and documentary maker and author. In 2014, I wrote about how the death certs of 796 children were uncovered by historian Catherine Corliss in Galway. The death certs related to hundreds of children who died in a religious run home for unmarried mothers between 1925 and 1961.
Well, I would agree with them, absolutely, totally. That seems to be what it's about, because I don't think the government expected for this story happening to grow, to go so widespread. But because of the Daily Mail back in 2014 and Alison O'Reilly, she did do the story and it got front page coverage at the time. Yeah. And because of that, it just went widespread. It went around the world.
And the story resonated with so many people all across the world. Earlier this year, I decided that it would be a nice idea to recognise people who had created some beautiful work. The exhibition, called Stay With Me, will run for 2 weeks up on the 17th of January, just before the Commission of Inquiry into Mother and Baby Homes produced their final report, which will be released to the public.
What do you hope the exhibition will bring to the story of the June babies?
Something positive to something that was so tragic and so awful. Love and nurture as part of healing. Artists including Barbara O'Mara and Alison and Luke Norton created such stunning work. Sculptural work, paintings, glass sculptures, clay designs. The other piece is, it's a baby blanket that was coordinated by Barbara O'Mara, who had contacted women all over the world in response to the June baby story, and she asked women to knit 800 squares that she put together in 4 sections to represent the 4 provinces of Ireland. Women and men all across the world sat down and knitted a gorgeous little baby square, and she pieced it all together, made 4 baby blankets. They're going to be displayed here in the In-Spire Gallery during the exhibition as well. There's a beautiful sculpture by a woman in Belgium where she had gotten her friends to make little babies out of clay. They're all together in a pit, and it sounds extremely harrowing, but it is stunning to look at, because it's the hardcore reality that these children were thrown into a defunct sewage system. They were left there in an unmarked grave, which isn't even a marked grave in the Irish maps. It's just basically the back of a former home. This piece captures the stark reality that all of these little faceless, nameless babies were just thrown into this. You weren't allowed to acknowledge that you had this child. It was all in secrecy. And so those children and those survivors of those homes are the real heroes of this story, because they carried that secret with them. And they weren't allowed to acknowledge the fact that they had lost a child. And whether the child died or was adopted or whatever happened, they had lost the most precious thing that a parent can ever have in their life. We are saying, you're allowed to say, stay with me. It's not shameful for what happened. No matter what, that child will always be with you. Those children will always be with all of us, because they're the real heroes of the story. They are the angels.
An affirmation of the parents and the children.
And the loss that was suffered by everybody who had lost these babies they were cast aside by the church and state because they were born out of wedlock. There will always be a backlash to a story like this. There are always people who feel that the past should remain in the past, that this was a response to a crisis at the time, and that not all the nuns and priests are bad. I've never said they were. I think they were dealing with a crisis that the church and state created, and put the fear of God into families because of these children and because of pregnancies out of wedlock. And it was always the woman who got blamed. I am not saying all the priests and nuns involved were bad people.
So it's not a finger-pointing exercise?
Definitely not a finger-pointing exercise. It's a very, very simple message. It's about the children who died. It's about the survivors, and it's about love and nurture.
Pouring dignity back into the story.
Yeah, these children were never given any dignity. The survivors were never given any dignity. They were silenced, they were condemned, and we're saying no, no, no. And stay with the memory of your child. You did nothing wrong. This is about love and hope and nurture and acknowledging the suffering that happened at a terrible time in Ireland.